Let's turn to Paul Salem. He's the president of the Middle East Institute, a think tank here in Washington. Paul, thank you for joining us. I have so many questions for you. First of all, what many people may not realize, Hezbollah isn't just a militant group designated as a terror organization by the U.S. and its allies. It is actually a political party in Lebanon. Explain to us Hezbollah's role in Lebanese politics, if you will.
Well, thank you, Asieh, and hello to everybody watching. Hezbollah plays several roles in Lebanon. For one, it's the major party that represents the Shiite community in Lebanon, which is about 1/3 of the population. It represents them as a political party in parliament and in government offices alongside another party, so it plays a very above-board political role. But also it is obviously a very powerful military organization, armed and trained by Iran. It's been in the country for about 40 years now. It fought Israeli occupation, which was in southern Lebanon until Israel withdrew in 2000. It fought another war with Israel in 2006. Its military wing does not answer to the Lebanese government. It has its own decision-making capacity, its own military equipment and so on in coordination with Iran.
So Hassan Nasrallah is in charge of the militant group, correct?
No, he's in charge of the whole thing.
Oh, he's in charge of the whole thing. Okay. Well, that even makes it even more complicated. How much clout, if you will, does Hassan Nasrallah and Hezbollah altogether have in a country that is dealing with a major economic crisis?
Well, Hezbollah and Hassan Nasrallah are definitely the most powerful player in the country. They have military capacity, and when they need to use it, they use it against foes and opponents, and they can threaten people. But as I said, they also are a political party, which represents one of the big communities of the country. They have political allies, particularly in some of the Christian parties that are allied with them. They have the support, obviously, of Iran. They have the support of the Assad regime in Syria. They are the most powerful political player in the country, although they are not alone and they cannot completely dictate all matters.
But in Lebanon, Paul, is what I'm asking about. Within the country, how much support does Hezbollah have among ordinary Lebanese?
Well, I would say it's about half and half. Much of the Shiite community definitely continues to support them. They have allies in some other communities which also support them as well. That maybe comes up to half or a little bit less than half. But then I would say half or a little bit more than half of the country is very much opposed to the role they play, not necessarily as a political party, but as an armed group outside the control of the state, outside the control of the Lebanese army. So this is an issue that has deeply, deeply split Lebanon and continues to do so.
Now, talk about the link between Shiite Hezbollah and the Sunni Hamas.
Well, that's an interesting relationship. I mean, they are both currently, have very good relations with Iran. But it's important to note that Hamas, during the heyday of the Syrian civil war, Hamas was fighting against the Assad regime, was effectively fighting against Hezbollah and against Iran in Syria for many years. But since then, they've switched back to an alliance with Iran and being armed and trained by Iran and being trained as well by Hezbollah. So they've come back to be quite close military allies, although, as you said, one is a Shiite Islamist group and one is a Sunni Islamist group.
And finally, I have to ask you about what we heard from Hassan Nasrallah on yesterday. He basically promised there will be a response on punishment. He was talking about the assassination of that senior Hamas official in Beirut, suspected on Israel. What do you think, Nasrallah, how do you think they're going to respond? I get the sense no one in Lebanon really has an appetite for a wider regional war here.
That's absolutely correct. Nobody in Lebanon, including Hezbollah's community or supporters among the civilians, they might support Hezbollah, but they do not support entering into a large-scale war with Israel, which would certainly devastate them, devastate Lebanon, the country as well, let alone the damage it will do inside Israel. But the assassination by apparently Israel of this senior Hamas leader happened in the southern suburbs of Beirut, which is really a Hezbollah stronghold, and was quite an affront to Hezbollah and has raised the tension between Hezbollah and Israel to a dangerous level. They've been already exchanging fire for many weeks since the beginning of this war between Israel and Hamas, but this makes it even more tense. But most analysts, including myself, continue to think that while Hezbollah might retaliate at some point, somewhere, in some form, it will not go toward any full-scale escalation. They want to stay away from any full-scale war.
All right, we'll leave it there. Paul Salem, thank you so much.
Thank you, Asieh.